the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Turn 3 Racing Network, as tonight we are here at Lanier National Speedway for the iRacing Sprint Car Asphalt Cup as they take on 55 laps in this 0.3 mile track. And man, oh man, I'm telling you what, I have been dying to get back into the sprint cars and do some race calling for that. Not only that, but a good buddy of mine who has been absent from iRacing broadcasting, making his return here tonight, none other than Ryan Kent. Ryan, how you doing out there tonight?
It is fantastic to not only be announcing some races during the midst of this worldwide pandemic, but especially to be doing it with sprint cars on pavement. The ground pounding 900 horsepower sprint cars. It's certainly a tough car to drive and try to wrangle, as you found out by watching me try to run earlier. But we're going to watch some of the best in the business do it here tonight around Lanier.
That we are, and I'll tell you what, these guys at Lanier are laying down some absolutely outstanding lap times. We are in season 2 of the 2020 year, and this is race number 5. And coming into tonight, our point standings look something like this. Dan Smith, having a stellar season, came off winning last season's championship overall, his first one ever. He is looking to repeat as he has accumulated 794 points. But I'll tell you, Ryan Sellers, hard on his heels, 85 points behind him. And you may be thinking that is a huge gap, but keep in mind, iRacing points are a lot different than what you would see in like a World of Outlaw style or even a Cup style point system, because 85 points can be made up in 1 week alone. So Dan Smith, Ryan Sellers really sitting neck to neck. Steven Mastro and Jeffrey Stanton not too far behind. But the surprise for me is Rich Foreman, who finds himself in 5th place in the point standings. I was around when Rich Foreman first got into these cars, and now to see him inside the top 5 in the point standings is really awesome.
Yeah, certainly this is one of those cars that takes a lot of patience, but and a lot of these guys are very friendly as well, help share some setups with each other. But once you kind of get a lot of laps in this car and a lot of different tracks as well that iRacing offers, you can really start to find your stride. And certainly in his day job, he watches a lot of race cars for a living, and now he's getting to drive himself, especially while there's no real race cars, unfortunately. But yeah, good to see him inside the top 5, and he could still certainly make a run here at Jeffrey Stanton or Steven Mastro to get towards 4th or 3rd in terms of total point standings for the season.
All right, guys, the session is switched over from practice into the next room. So for iRacing, we are going to have to step away. But don't worry, guys, we got the national anthem coming up and qualifying following that. So no one go anywhere. We'll be back with more outstanding iRacing Sprint Car Asphalt Cup at Lanier.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as qualifying is underway, and as you can see, the field is already starting to be set. Matthew Pilas in the 6 machine going to the top of the leaderboard with a 12.148 in his qualifying session. 2.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, and we have 18 drivers out here tonight. So far, 14 drivers have taken a qualifying time, and Ryan, I'll tell you what, this is a stacked field, and not only that, pole position is a 12.148, 14th spot is a 12.589. That is a very short spread.
Yeah, it is a very, very tight and competitive field, and I just watched one of our competitors, and Mark Hepfner, he was coming to take the green flag for his qualifying run, and he unfortunately found the front stretch wall with his nose and has not gotten off to the best start. And he was very, very fast in practice, so unfortunately his first qualifying lap is not quite there, but he was pretty much middle of the pack in terms of practice. Could expect if he could lay down a similar time like that, and he's going to come around and take the checkers for his second lap, and is able to go a little bit slower at a 12.335, which puts him 9th right now.
All right, so for the moment, the track is cleared, but we do have just under a minute and a half left. And Ryan, we were talking a little bit tonight about a guy that you know very well, that some of these drivers have paint schemes. So while we have some time, why don't you tell us about some of the memorial paint schemes we have out here tonight?
Yeah, unfortunately, earlier today we lost, at least in the certainly in the USAC world, the pavement sprint car world, a very well-known car owner in Gene Nolan, who owned a very iconic yellow number 20, had a pretty much a who's list of especially those that were really good on pavement, owned dirt Silver Crown champ cars as well. But tonight, Dan Smith is rolling with one of his yellow cars. I've seen Rich Foreman, who's a photographer for USAC, the United States Auto Club, traveling around with them and doing a lot of other local Indiana events. Photographed Little 500, which Gene won the last couple of years with Cody Swanson behind the wheel on the pavement sprint car side. And so a couple of those guys paying tribute to Gene with those paint schemes we're going to as well, as his car was a very historic yellow number 20, and we'll pause for a moment of silence on the 20th lap of tonight's 55-lap race. And so a couple of those guys, racing with Gene on their mind, I'm sure, here tonight. Guys that and even like a Ryan Sellers that photographed his cars, and just a really, really good guy that's always brought a smile to your face. And he was certainly a competitor, but did it the right way.
All right, qualifying is done and over with, so let's move on now to our starting lineup of this 55-lap race here at Lanier. Row number 1 coming your way, iRacing Sprint Car Asphalt Cup on pole position. That is going to be none other than the 6 of Matthew Pilas on his outside, the 3 of Steven Mastro. Row number 2 will be the 5 machine of Ray Farlow and the 7 of Jeffrey Stanton. Row number 3 will be the 4 of Ryan Sellers and your current points leader, the 2 of Dan Smith. Row number 4 will be the 14 of Kenneth Carlson and the 9 of Ron Quinsel. Row number 5 will be the 10 of Mark Hefner and the 8 of Gary Loney. Row number 6 will be JP Windshield and the 18 of Joe McLaughlin. Row number 7 will be the 13 machine piloted by Brian Payne and the 11 of Rich Foreman. Row number 8 be the 17 of Jeffrey Taylor and the 15 of Robert Taylor. Row number 9 will be the 12 of Billy Webb and the 16 of Richie Morocco. And that is going to be our starting lineup here tonight, as everyone is ready to get rolling. Front of this field being held down by the 6 of Matthew Pilas. Here we go. Lights are out on the pace car, Ryan, and why don't you take us to this green flag?
Pilas and Mastro pace the field through turns 3 and 4. 55 laps set to go here at Lanier. The iRacing Sprint Car Cup is underway. Cars point their noses to the bottom of turns number 1 and 2. Everybody able to get through clean and green so far. Matthew Pilas able to lead out front. They're single file right behind him. Then they go 2 wide. A battle for the 3rd spot between Stanton and Farlow as work off the backstretch. Maestro in that 2nd spot pokes his nose to the inside of Pilas entering turn number 3. Has to pull back quickly though, and Matthew Pilas is out front here early.
The 6 machine to the early lead, but the 3 is Steven not letting him get too far away. Ray Farlow right now in the 3rd spot as the 7 machine of Jeffrey the Jet Stanton on the outside trying to hold off the 4 of Ryan Sellers. Ryan Sellers trying to work his way forward. He's got the preferred line here at Lanier, but cannot dislodge the 7 machine from his spot. The 2 of Dan Smith, your points leader, as he watches on board from his position. This battle for 5th place as the 4 machines now going to settle in behind Jeffrey Stanton.
Yeah, Matthew Pilas leads out front early. Mastro 2nd, Ray Farlow in 3rd. Then you're looking at that battle between Stanton, Sellers, Smith, and Carlson all right there together. We mentioned Gene Nolan earlier, a couple of those tribute schemes to him with the 4 and the 2 of Ryan Sellers and Dan Smith running right now in positions number 5 and 6. Working on lap number 8 of 55. Here at what's just under 4/10 of a mile at Lanier National Speedway, Braselton, Georgia, it calls home.
Check in on a few drivers a little bit further back. The 11 machine, Rich Foreman, finds himself in a 14th spot here in this top split in the iRacing official series. and the yellow flag is going to come out as the 12 of Billy Webb has gone around. Let's back this up and go to our turn 3 instant replay and see exactly what happened to the 12 as he works his way through the corner. A little bit of internet connection issues for the 12 machine, but now he is down on the yellow line, tries to power up, and is just going to get sideways, jumps up onto the track, but the leaders come around, triggering our first caution of the night as the pace car comes out. The 6 machine of Matthew Pilas continues to lead, and he has led all 10 completed laps here tonight.
It is so tricky in these cars. That yellow line is pretty much where the banking starts and stops, and you can dance that left front and those left side tires below that yellow line, but especially when you're trying to bring power to the car, getting off the corner especially, you have to have pretty much all 4 tires above those yellow lines to be able to put the power down correctly, as I found out only about 15 times today during practice, KR.
Yeah, this car is extremely tricky to drive, and it is one of those cars where you will not achieve full throttle in it, especially here at Lanier. I think I only got to half throttle by the time I hit the flag stand, had to lift to make the corner, and it is just absolutely an insane car to drive, an absolute blast to drive, and by the time you learn it and get it down, you will have an immense sense of reward by accomplishing a race win in this car. And I'll tell you what, the 6 of Matthew Pilas, right now he's making it look easy as the lights go out on the Ford Mustang. Everyone's starting to line up for this restart.
Lights go out on that iRacing's car, pulls to the infield. This next time off of turn number 4, Matthew Pilas leading the way, and he will start to rise the RPMs. Going to go way high there in turn number 4, and turn down the hill, bring us back to green. Steven Mastro follows him in that white, yellow, and black. Number 3 will stay within a car length this time into turn number 3 and 4. Line that time does Mastro, and takes a look to the inside into turns number 1 and 2. Able to hold the inside as they work off turn number 2. It's a battle for the lead up front here at Lanier.
Not only do we have a battle for the lead up front, but the 7 of Jeffrey the Jet Stanton got an excellent start. He moved into 3rd place. Ray Farlow continuing to drop back side by side. The battle for the lead continues, allowing the 7 of Jeffrey Stanton to close in. Now we got a 3, 4, 5 car battle for the race lead.
Pilas, even though he did lose 1 position, certainly could have lost a couple more. Such a tough track to pass on, that when you can find that low line like Mastro was able to do right there and dive to the inside, once Pilas was out on the outside of the racetrack, certainly could have lost some ground, almost like Stanton did right there. That's going to open the door momentarily for Ryan Sellers, who's unable to capitalize and put himself under a preliminary spot on the podium in 3rd. Mentioned Mastro is now your leader, and he's able to run not quite as low, especially in turns number 3 and 4, is what most of his competitors are. Just dancing those left side tires right there next to the yellow line. A battle for 3rd starts to shape up as Stanton opened up the door for Sellers that time. Good battle for 3rd off turn number 4.
The Ford machine down to the inside. He's going to go way below the yellow line, kind of washes up a little bit, has to check up. And the 7 of Jeffrey Stanton holding on to 3rd place for the moment as we are past lap 22. So we will observe our moment of silence here for Gene Nolan.
Working on lap number 25. Welcome back here to Lanier. A moment of observation, a moment of silence for legendary sprint car, and is your leader. Trying to track down KR exactly who brought out last caution.
I'm not 100% sure, but let's go ahead and see if we can figure it out. Kenneth Carlson in the 14 machine, working his way on the Lanier Speedway. He has the 8 machine behind him of Gary Loney, Jerry. and they make contact going into turn number 1. The 14 and the 8 gonna slide up the racetrack. So slight contact there. Nobody got into the wall, and it looks like everyone gonna survive to race again. Only one car out of this race for the moment. That is the 12 of Billy Webb as he sits on pit road. He is 17 laps down. So Billy Webb maybe not trying to get back into this thing, as he's been sitting in his pit stall for the last 4 minutes and counting.
You talked about Loney. He's been pretty much the biggest mover so far, going from his 10th starting spot up to 7th. The man who he follows currently on the racetrack has unfortunately dropped a couple spots is Ray Farlow, who's spent a lot of time in these pavement sprint cars. He started on the inside of row number 2 in the 3rd spot. He currently runs in 6th. Full field rundown right now as they work on lap number 29 under the caution flag here at Lanier. Steven Mastro leads out front. Matthew Pilas in 2nd. Jeffrey Stanton holds on to the 3rd spot right now, with Ryan Sellers and Dan Smith rounding out your top 5. KR?
Lights have gone out on the Ford Buttstain as we get ready to stack them up single file, and you will see these guys line up right along the wall. They do not want anyone to be able to pass them on the outside lane. That is an okay move to make on these restarts. So defending the outside lane is why everyone is on the wall as the 3 machine of Mastro gets on the throttle, and we are back underway. And here comes Jeffrey Stanton down to the inside of the 6th of Matthew Pilas.
It's a side-by-side battle for the 2nd spot as they work off turn number 4 here, as they put lap number 31 in the books. That black and blue frame number 7, Jeffrey Stanton, points his nose to the bottom. He's going to try to carry Ryan Sellers with him as they work to the inside of Matthew Pilas. Dan Smith right behind, current series points leader, working here on lap number 33. A good battle, almost 3 wide. They're back in the pack in the battle for the 3rd spot.
Right now, the 4 machine of Sellers down to the inside. Pilas, our pole sitter, falling back a little bit in that 6 machine. He now finds himself in 4th place, but Dan Smith in the 2 all over that back Nerf bar, trying to find a way to the inside as he is down below the yellow line, trying to make something happen.
Smith right on the tailgate of that 6 machine. They go single file. This time in through turns number 3 and 4. Nobody really making a move. Smith now works to the inside, almost puts all 4 below that yellow line. Mentioned about how tricky it is and how important it is to stay in that racing groove. And Pilas has been able to work himself, been able to use that high line and try to mainly keep up with the competition so far, especially here as tires start to wear off and grip wears away. Pilas, as you look, he runs in that 4th spot in car number 6, allows Smith to his inside this time, but is able to get a better run, especially off the corner. Right behind them is Ray Farlow in that white number 5, trying to go with Smith and stay attached to his rear bumper. Here as we work towards lap number 40.
Yeah, we're right now really on the downhill side of this race. Steven Mastro has been out front for the last 23 laps. He has done an outstanding job here tonight and putting in a stellar performance in that 3 machine. Jeffrey Stanton has moved into 2nd place, but for how long, I couldn't tell you, as the 4 of Ryan Sellers has really closed in on him. The battle at the front for 2nd place about ready to heat up with 15 laps to go.
15 laps to go. As KR said, it's a just about 1 second lead right now for Steven Mastro out front. And back behind him is about 9/10 of a second. The gap back to Jeffrey Stanton, who leads by just 2/10 of a second that last time by over Ryan Sellers. And as you mentioned, that gap is starting to close. The black 7 and yellow 4 start to go to a little bit of a battle and start to tango here as we close in on 10 laps to go. They'll complete lap number 43 this time by around the 410 Mile Oval. And Stan, that's the lowest we've seen him in turns number 1 and 2 this entire time. Opens up the door for Sellers. He dives that yellow number 4 to the bottom in turn number 3 and 4. Side by side, battle for 2nd this time into turn number 1 and 2.
Sellers got a little aggressive on the throttle, and it cost him dearly as he got all sorts of crossed up, but he was able to save it. The 4 machine now, though, in 3rd place, going to have to regain all that lost ground, and with 10 laps to go, he is quickly running out of time.
Behind him, it's starting to shape up to be a bit of a good battle for the 4th spot as Dan Smith works in that yellow number 2. Matthew Pilas, your pole sitter and who led the early stage of this race. They start to battle it out for the 4th spot. We've got a caution on the speedway. That changes everything here, working on lap number 47 of 55.
The 11 machine of Rich Foreman has gone around. Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay here as the 11 working down to the inside of the 10 of Mark Hefner. Contact made going into the corner. Both of them continue on, but then the 10 just comes plowing into the 11. So Hefner and Foreman are going to bring out the caution here tonight as they both go for a spin coming out of turn number 2.
That looked about like the Aaron Reitzel move last night that some people could have watched with the World of Outlaws on Fox Sports 1. That was there was a lot of contact there from multiple vantage points, and then Foreman afterwards. I don't think they're exchanging addresses for Christmas cards or to send maybe personal protective equipment to each other right now. KR.
They might need some personal protective equipment, maybe in the form of a 3-pound hand glove.
I think Foreman might be a little bumfuzzled as to what all that was about, but he'll be able to, unfortunately, maybe watch the rest of this one from the pits as he's now 2 laps down, but he's going to have one heck of a race to watch as we've got a good finish shaping up here at Lanier.
Yeah, right now we got 5 laps to go. The 3 is Steven Mastro. Can he hold on to it? Jeffrey the Jet Stanton, who has made his way all the way up into 2nd place by virtue of some outstanding restarts, is going to have another shot at this 3 machine. Can he find a way to snooker that 3 and pull out the race win?
Saw Stanton make a mistake, which was followed by a Ryan Sellers mistake. You got to think maybe Ryan Sellers has to be potentially beating himself up just a little bit. He could have had a shot potentially to be 2nd on this restart, which might be the best spot to be, but you never know. Maybe Sellers is in a good spot. Maybe Dan Smith is in a good spot. They've all been patient here as they work on lap number 52, and they work towards that green flag once again. And everybody patient up on the high side. Looks like a good restart right there for Ryan Sellers. Stanton, not too bad of a one. He's about a car length back this time off turn number 2. Moves a little bit higher on the exit of the corner. Steven Mastro, who has dominated the later stages of this race, comes to see lap number 54, the penultimate lap here at Lanier, KR.
2 laps to go down through 3 and 4. White flag in the air. Final time around for the 3 as Ryan Sellers trying to take away 2nd spot. He is going to move to 2nd. Steven Mastro watching all of this go down behind him. Off of turn number 4, Mastro is going to win it. Sellers, oh, he is going to lose it at the start-finish line, but come away with 2nd place as Jeffrey Stanton rounds out your 3rd spot.
That was a heck of a battle behind your leader in Steven Mastro. Sprint cars don't have rear view mirrors, but that was a heck of a finish as he's going to come across the line and do some victorious burnouts as well.
Your race winner being the 3 machine, celebrating in style with these sprint cars. And I'll tell you what, breaking those rear tires loose ain't going to be a hard thing for this sprint car. He sets it into victory lane here tonight at Lanier. 55 laps easily done and over with. And while we wait for just a moment to see if we can get a word in with some of these drivers, let's go ahead and go through our official results for tonight. Steven Mastro in the 3, your race winner. 2nd place going to the 4 of Ryan Sellers. 3rd, Jeffrey Stanton. 4th, Dan Smith. And rounding out your top 5, our pole sitter, the 6 of Matthew Pilas.
Jerry Loney comes home in the 6th spot. Ron Quinzel, with a 7th place finish. Ray Farlow in 8th. Kenneth Carlson in 9th. And Joe McLaughlin rounds out the top 10.
11th place will be JP Winchell. 12th going to Jeffrey Taylor. 13th, Richie Morocco. 14th, Robert Taylor. And rounding out your top 15 will be Brian Payne.
Behind them is multiple laps down Mark Hepfner, who finished 8 laps behind. In 16th place, Rich Foreman. We saw him involved in a late race caution there as well. Comes home at 17th. And Billy Webb, who had problems early on. Believe he did get out and log a couple more laps after that, but Billy Webb comes home in the 18th and final finishing position tonight. Again, Steven Mastro, your winner, Ryan Sellers in second, and Jeffrey Stanton completing the podium today in 55 laps at Lanier in what was a very exciting race. K. Stolfus.
That it was, and it seems like now might be the only time we can get a word in with one of our drivers. If you give me just a moment here, I'm going to try and work this out and see if we can't get to talk to none other than our third place finisher. That is Jeffrey Stanton. Jeffrey, you got your ears on, bud?
Yes, I do.
How you doing out there tonight, Mr. Stanton?
I'm doing pretty good. Just frustrated how tight I was, but pretty good race.
Well, you held on to second place. Brian Sellers in that 4 machine came through, was able to snooker you a little bit there at the line. Tell us about those last few laps.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it free as much as I can. I was just so tight on the bottom, so I was just, if I got out into the gray, though, I'd get tight in entry. It's just I was just trying to keep the heat in the right rear just to keep it loose enough. I ended up liking on the outside here anyway, so I just kept going on that and hope I could get him at the line, the momentum, and then get loose off.
Well, Jeff, man, it was an outstanding race here at Lanier. 55 laps going very quickly. Time to work very short, but man, you made the most of it and made it up into third for your final spot. Any shout outs or thank yous for that?
I'd like to thank Napa Auto Parts of Rockwell, North Carolina, Burning Over Radio, Barlow Motorsports, Big Evil Designs, Jeffrey's Toy Closet. I want to give a shout out to the Nolan family. Sorry for their loss.
All right, that is Jeffrey the Jet Stanton giving us his post-race interview. And Ryan Kent, I believe you're going to have an opportunity to talk to our race winner, and that is Steven Mastro.
Steven, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. Got me.
First off, yes, we do. Congratulations on a well-earned win there. You were able to pull away. I'm sure that last caution was not very welcome, but you were able to pull away and have another good restart. Be able to keep your tires underneath you throughout the course of this run. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great race. Yeah, that last yellow had me a little worried, man. I saw Jeffrey, Amir, Ryan. I knew those guys are fast, and they'd be all over me if I didn't nail the restart.
You almost had to put together what was almost like a qualifying run there at the end with just 3 laps. Is that last dash? Is that something that you're able to practice, especially with tires worn away and a little bit less fuel than what you would have obviously during regular qualifying conditions with just a late race dash there to the checkers?
Yeah, I actually got a little practice doing that in the Tuesday race. We had a late race caution too, so that helped out a little bit. Being in the lead at the end, especially on this track, being at the end, in the lead at the end is just so critical to be able to control those restarts and get a good jump. I mean, I think that's what played a part in getting the win tonight.
You were able to ride in second there early on, be a little patient. You actually turned your fastest lap of the race, which was a 12:171, while you were riding in second. How important was patience, especially on a track like this, as you mentioned?
Yeah, it's super important. I was a little bummed when I didn't get the pole because I knew being out front was important, but I just kind of kept my head down and tried to be patient, like you said. And that one restart, I knew I was pretty decent on restarts. That one restart, I was kind of able to snooker Matthew there. He's been super fast. He's going to get a win one of these days. But yeah, I was able to get by him and get to the lead, take control of the race. And yeah, I think that's what played the part there, is being in control of the race. It was a heck of a race, and I really enjoyed doing it. Enjoy running with these guys.
Absolutely. Who all makes this possible for you?
Dave Kunzler Tire, WHM Motorsports, Cheap Pasture Nursery and Tree. These guys are real life sponsors of mine that have been with me since the beginning of my career and my dad's career. So it's nice to have support like that, keeping us going.
Steven Mastro taking the lead officially on lap number 17 and never really looked back. Congratulations on a well-earned victory tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for broadcasting this and putting it on.
Absolutely. KR?
Well, Ryan, I'll tell you what, that was an outstanding race out here tonight at Lanier. And thank you everyone for joining us. And Ryan, we're going to do this again next Thursday, but next week on April 16th, we're going to be at Lucas Oil Raceway. And I'll tell you what, that's another difficult track to get around. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to that one.
A little Thursday night thunder, my friend, with pavement sprint cars at I'm going to call it IRP, Old Indianapolis Raceway Park, now sponsored by Lucas Oil. So Lucas Oil Raceway Park, the site next week, 75 laps, a little bit longer than what we've got. Certainly a flatter track, a big old half mile. You certainly want to try to put that thing on the wall up at IRP, and I'm very much so looking forward to it.
That it is. So make sure you guys join us next Thursday night, April 16th. Right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. And if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Let the drivers know you appreciate their talent and efforts out here tonight. And so until next week, guys, y'all stay safe and we'll see you then.